Well, here we are, and it is Thursday, I guess the 4th of February, 2021, and it's a beautiful day today. The sun is out, and I'm looking at the news and wondering why it's so incomplete. It's got so many holes in it. And during the night, I struggled with what's happening to my country, to the civil society that I used to know. And what I downloaded was a bucket list of ways that society can abuse people without leaving visible scars. Okay, ways of abusing us in the name of dominance, in the name of superiority, in the name of class war, that makes those of us who are on the short end of the stick have to come up against the reality of genocide. We feel as if we're being rubbed out. But let's just look at some of these techniques. Many of them are passive aggressive. And I want to start with education, because the Common Core curriculum teaches an entire vocabulary of nonsense words from the perspective of a child's experience. It's filled with generalizations and nouns that describe methods and theories and ontologies and taxonomies, and it's just full of stuff the kids don't use and will probably never use. They fail to compare standardized methods of social problem solving. Okay, they don't go into the details of how a monarchy differs from a republic and how a republic differs from a democracy. All right. Now, one of my offspring, who's 40 years old, believes that the open source movement is the same as socialism. He believes that the ideals of openly sourcing and utilizing ideas and patents and software is comparable to what happens when the socialist leftists take over a country. And let me tell you, it's not the same thing. Schools need to detail the difference in outcomes between discipline versus punishment. Punishment is the desire to weaken a population, a certain group, whereas discipline uses stress and boot camp to strengthen, all right? And what we have seen is that the liberal policies of anti-Black discrimination have done everything to destroy the lives of Black families, but we're not allowed to see that, all right? Next, wisdom versus prescriptive dogma. Wisdom comes from empirical experiences with causes and effects and problem solving. But no, the academics teach prescriptive dogma. Here's our theory. We're going to apply the theory and we're going to see what results we get. And whatever results we get is fine. All right. That does not lead to a society that's improving its own methods and practices. Racism is taught as a strategy for keeping people submissive and intimidated. And the way they do that is to insist that all people must conform the same way, and everyone in school must conform the same way. And non-conforming and non-believing are sins and crimes. We have to have safe spaces for liberals to talk to each other because they cannot confront the rest of the world. Okay, so that is my indictment against education, that it is producing people who are stupefied, who are distracted, who are bored out of their minds, and who have no sense of connection with their families, their grandparents, their neighborhood, no sense of connection. They're just playing with their little toys. Next, the media, journalism. The media work at confusing distractions with facts. All right. They present accusations instead of facts, claims instead of facts, fears instead of facts. This does not edify the population with respect to what is true. The media ignore overt conspiracies that are out in the open. The election rigging hasn't been covered. The reputation of the current administration hasn't been covered. The blunders and the methods of NSA and NASA have not been covered, so that so much of what is true and real is never presented to the people. Most of us don't even know what problems we have. The media covers up crimes, and the media presumes the competence of its own political faction. I don't know if you've ever read the Washington Post or the Hill or the New York Times. They only always speak from one point of view, and that point of view is an agenda in which blah, 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 blah. Okay. And the media, of course, ridicule, attack, disenfranchise, censor, block, dissent. And so the media is not helping our society to deal with reality and solve problems with truth, which is how we have to do it. The only way to solve a problem is to know what's true about it. All right. Next, healthcare. All right. The healthcare profession utilizes return visits, return tests, return procedures, and return prescriptive remedies to profit their shareholders. And the outcomes are pretty much irrelevant, because since 1973, the medical profession is considered a profit business, and so it has become a profit business and a protection racket. And that's why some of us have pushed ourselves away from the table. Now let's look at law. All right. Now we have several forms of law in the United States. We have the common law constitution from 1789, and then there was the organic constitution, the corporate statutes that overruled the first one, and then now there's a restoration of the original one. Okay, but there's also maritime admiralty, which is commercial law. And then there are the state laws, and then the county regulations and the cities. And what the law profession has done is jumble these all together, confound and conflate and puff conflicts, disputes, and issues. Well, that's how they make their living. It's all about money, okay? And in their documents, they use arcane language, which is difficult for anyone to understand. They're known to set up good old boy network of friendships, and so they do favors for each other. And they invest judges with fat salaries invest in prison industries and in health care and in profiteering social services. That's how the law system is not helping our society to improve its empirical sense of wisdom and what behavior brings on what outcome. And again, I'll put Holy Law link down below, as I usually do, because once a person has read through the 254 principles that describe justice, you can't unsee it and you can't unlearn it. All right. Next, the church. The church teaches prescriptive behaviors based on doctrine. It's a top-down doctrine. The Bible says this, therefore we do that. It doesn't matter what century you live in. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. It doesn't matter. The Apostle Paul said it 1,000 years ago, and that's what you do. Next, the church avoids looking at the effects and the outcomes of behavior, especially deceit, perfidy and lying and perjury, and treachery, double dealing. The church doesn't talk to the people about how to avoid the sins of Satan. I don't know, I guess they expect each and every practitioner and parishioner in the church building sitting in the pew to devise our own method of skirting around sins and keeping out of trouble. The church could do a lot more. And of course, the worst part of the sectarian fight is that each church discounts every other church. There is no consensus about the beliefs and standard behaviors that allows an acceptance across denominations. I have personally found that there are two broad denominations that simply follow what we're given in the law and what we're given in the Beatitudes at face value, and they accept the outcomes, and they don't try to become politically correct. And those are the Anabaptist communities and the Catholic holy orders, except for Jesuits that are politically heretical. And the Russian Orthodox Church is really impressive that way. And finally, in the family, the families that place pleasure and happiness before truthful character and self-sufficiency are the families where the kids grow up to be pretty wild. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's okay for some people. You know, you pay your money and you take your chances. And so, as you can see, our society at present is on a deep decline. It's spiraling down because of these standard professional practices. These standard professions are verbally abusing us and misinforming us and teaching us to be stupid, and we're not calling them on it. And we need to call them on it. We need to be very, very frank about it. And so, although my name is Emily Windsor Craig, I get real frank. As long as I'm here, I'm going to resist the leftist push for rewarding those who refuse to be productive and industrious by robbing the people who are capable and competent. I have a problem with that. So I hope this means something to you. If it does, hit the like button and the subscribe button and so on. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for coming by. Bye-bye.